Hey guys, it's Karen. Yesterday, I saw an article on Salon.com by W. Kamau Bell and Adam Mansbach telling white people to come get your boy about Trump. So, today I got Dan Naturman of comedian fame and Tommy O'Malley of Race Wars and my best friend Sade Pilot, our black voice, to come hang out and see what's going on.
You are now checked in to Stand Up New York Labs. Oh, yeah.
You're listening to Crass to Mouth.
The two open micers, please cede to the headliners of this table. Good Lord.
Ever just fucked somebody who wasn't your girlfriend while you were still with a girlfriend? Boom, HPV right up the pussy. It's like when a black person resists arrest and gets shot. Yeah, you shouldn't resist arrest. That doesn't mean that you should die for it. Okay, we're back, everybody. Today, so we are on a tight timeline, but I have two of my white friends, Dan Naturman, the Jew, and comedian, and Tommy O'Malley, the gay non-Jew.
Non-comedian.
But
I'm funny.
But who's funny? From Race Wars. You guys will recognize him from Race Wars, that he's on all the time being smart and cute. And Danny, thanks for being here.
Sure, wouldn't miss it.
Huh?
Wouldn't miss it.
You wouldn't miss it. And I'm sorry I shuffled you around forever and this has been a pain in the ass. But anyway, you guys are here and that's awesome. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, can we jump right in because I've been thinking about this all morning. Did you guys read, well, I just told you about it, but did you guys just read the Salon article about Kamau Bell and Adam, what's that guy's name who wrote Go the Fuck to Sleep? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Adam Mansbach.
Mansbach, right. So they're the article is them writing to each other back and forth, which already is annoying, but I'll give them a pass because it's Salon. You know, they name drop each other while they're writing to each other. So that's an unforgivable offense. But in the article, Kamau is saying, it's about him posting on Facebook saying about Trump to white people, to all white people, come get your boy. That's his message. Come get your boy. You made him and he belongs to you. Black people take responsibility for black things. So you guys, it's time to own up to Trump.
Well, I think...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, you go.
No, I didn't read the Adam and Kamau exchange, but Kamau had written something before that I did read.
The Facebook thing, you mean?
Was it just on Facebook?
That's what he said.
Maybe it was on Facebook that he posted that, and I responded to it on Facebook.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
But I don't have it exactly in front of me, but I said something to the effect of, because he said something like, when he mentioned somebing in particular, Raven Simone and Ben Carson. Well, when they say something crazy, the black people tell them, black people take them to task or reprimand them or whatever.
Right.
So I said, well, no one's asking you to do that, number one. As a race, you're not obligated to reprimand other black people because they're black.
Right.
And number two, a lot of people are reprimanding Trump. His point was that white people should...
Not for his whiteness. I mean, maybe for his racism generally, or his xenophobia, or whatever, his Islamophobia, whatever.
No, he doesn't say that.
But white people aren't like, hey, you're making the rest of us look bad. The way that, Black Twitter, for example, goes after Raven Simone anytime she says anything.
But white Twitter...
Well, first of all...
Twitter also goes after Raven Simone when she says something kooky.
I mean, I like Raven Simone, so I don't know why we're shitting on her, but...
Well, we're not. We're just using her as an example because Kamau brought her up.
Right.
But Kamau's point is, well, when black people do wrong, black people condemn them universally, which is not true, number one. And they're not obligated to, number two.
Right, but also every minority does. Jewish people, if a Jew does something wrong, thinks it's bad for the Jews, right
gay
away.
People sort of feel the same way, but trans people, you're seeing it with Caitlyn Jenner right now, especially.
Are they getting the girl?
Well, she said the man in the dress comment.
Right.
She likes to look pretty. She likes to take pride in her appearance because a man in a dress makes people uncomfortable or something.
Right.
And, other trans folk fucking went after her. Is that
a trans thing though, or is that a rich white person, a rich older white person thing, or let's say a rich older person thing?
Well, I think she's the most visible trans person maybe in the world right now.
Yeah,
and I think that trans people definitely look at it as a trans thing, and I think you often hear trans people saying, "She is not me, she is not us," and trying to distance themselves. And I think when you're from a marginalized community, you feel more compelled to defend the actions of other people that reflect your identity.
But you just said it. You
discourse.
Feel compelled. So why should it be my responsibility to distance myself from Trump, who I never not distance myself from? Like, I don't identify with him.
Is that like maybe black people and gay people and trans people, like people that are from marginalized communities, are sick of seeing white people not have to do what they feel compelled to do.
Well, too bad.
And that's what it is.
Too bad.
But who's putting the compulsion on them? I want to know. He's going, I take responsibility, now you do it. Take responsibility for what? Like, what did I do?
Well, first of all, this is Kamau Bell's opinion. I don't know how widely shared it is in the black community.
But he actually made a good point, though. He says he's the pinnacle of whiteness in America.
Is he, though? I fundamentally don't agree with that.
We have 264 years of slavery.
You could just lump in together all white, but he's the pinnacle of all white people. I'm a Jew. I'm the child of immigrants. I bear no responsibility for slavery. Pardon my skin color, but I didn't do it.
No, for sure, but you benefit, right?
Do I, though? Yeah. Do I benefit? How much do I benefit? Have you seen my apartment?
Listen, I think I benefit. I shouldn't put it on you, Karen, but I think I benefit. Like, my ancestors were in Ireland.
Okay.
But I still think I benefit from my whiteness. I mean, I'm white, so I can't, just because I'm gay, I can't say I'm not white.
Right.
I'm pretty white, but I'm just saying, I think that Trump does represent everything that's been built up. Like, we have this presidential candidate who's just openly racist and basically trying to, revive the Third Reich and have people wearing ID tags all the time.
But we've always had that. The difference is that now he's more mainstream, but there's always been racist candidates. There's always been people of every color who are racist.
Like this. Not so vocal. He wants internment camps practically.
But isn't this giving him too much credit to say, like, as a white person, I'm so ashamed of this? He's so outside the mainstream. He's so outside of what 99% of people actually think. Why is it necessary to now step up and get our boy?
Though? Is he 99? Because his poll numbers are fucking crazy.
But who is he polling with? Is this with everybody, or
there's
is this
a lot
with
of
his
shit
base?
Between New York and LA, right? Like, there's a big country.
I don't
Have you
know
ever
about
driven?
It.
I know.
No.
Drive to Mississippi. It's wild. People do respect Mississippi. Well, no, fuck Mississippi. No, not do respect. White people in Mississippi are crazy a lot of the time, and they're really angry and hateful.
But when has that not been the case? I guess now we're like seeing it, but nothing's changed except Trump talks more now.
Well, he also has this platform. Like, before it was like, oh, Donald Trump is this gross guy who runs the Miss Universe pageant and owns a lot, like the whole west side of New York.
Right.
But now he is actually, if he's not a Clinton operative, which I love that theory. Who's the
I don't know who floated that theory.
I don't know, but it's really good.
You?
No. Anyway, but if he's for real, like, this is, I think that, what's his name, has a point that this is the pinnacle of whiteness. Like, this is what we've been building toward. Like, this is what 240 years of white president, 234 years of white presidents, I can't do math, whatever, before Obama, has, like, built to. This is what unchecked white male power has built to. Like, this guy that can just say whatever the fuck he wants and still be leading in the polls.
Dan, is this unchecked white male privilege? Because that's you. That means you guys.
Well, no. First of all, white in the sense of not. He's gone after Muslims who can be of any color. Mm-hmm. Muslim is a religion, not a race. Mm-hmm. It's an ideology. One can choose to be a part of it or choose to not be a part of it. There are white Muslims, black Muslims, Asian Muslims,
right,
and Middle Eastern Muslims. So his attacking of Muslims has little to do, as I see it, with white male privilege, and his comments about the Mexicans. What I thought were more scandalous than what he says about his ideas about Islam. But a black guy could say the same thing.
Yeah, Ben Carson says crazy shit too.
In what sense is this white anything? His statements could just as easily be made by a black person. I guess you could. I mean, So in what sense is this?
Well, because I think context matters, and I do think I mean, obviously anybody can be a Muslim, but I don't think that Trump is talking about, like, Fidelma O'Leary, who is the Irish woman that was a biology professor at my college who converted to Islam. But I think he's talking about Arab Muslims.
Well, he hasn't made that fine of a point of it, though. Like, he is kind of known for painting with broad strokes. So to say that he probably maybe excludes her seems to be giving him too much credit.
Okay, maybe. No, you know what? You're right. But I do think that the violence we see against Muslims is the instances I'm seeing are of darker darker complexions, Muslims with darker complexion.
The visible ones, you mean? The ones that you can see?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody wearing a hijab, for example, is probably a target, you know?
But how does that correlate to the pinnacle of whiteness, I guess? That's what I have a problem with. I mean, he said,
well, and
according
even,
to Kamal,
and well, go ahead.
Oh, no, all I was going to, so this is just what he wrote, okay?
And by the way, but does anybody besides Kamal Bell share this particular point of view?
I mean, I kind of agree with him.
Okay.
So, yes.
Like, you agree that white people should first of all, white people are stepping up to the plate and condemning him. The ones that don't agree with him.
I guess that's not the point.
I guess I've noticed a lot of people of all color, but also a lot of white people being really vocally anti-Trump. I don't see it as a problem of white silence.
Yeah, and the ones that aren't vocally anti-Trump might agree with him, so I wouldn't expect them to go to.
Like you said, he does have a base of people who support him, so those people aren't the vocal ones. Yeah. But just the same way that there's always going to be people on Ben Carson's side who are black, that's to be expected.
Not when Farrakhan said anti-Jewish things. I didn't hear the whole black community condemn him.
Agreed.
I didn't hear the whole black community.
That's a whole other black and Jewish stuff.
I didn't hear the whole black community.
We're going.
I didn't hear the whole black community condemn O.J. Simpson. I didn't hear the whole black community condemn Michael Vick, so I really don't know what the hell Kamal Bell is talking about when he says the black community rises up and condemns with one clear voice. They're people that...
All right, but you want to talk about Michael Vick. Like, I didn't hear any white people coming after Ben Roethlisberger when he literally raped a woman while his teammates stood guard.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't expect people to follow sports.
Well, you know Michael Vick, but that's what I'm saying. Michael Vick hurt some dogs. I mean, whatever.
The point
I'm more concerned about the women that were sexually assaulted
white world should condemn
by a white guy than like the black guy who
The point is the black community doesn't necessarily condemn universally people that do wrong in the black community. He mentioned Raven Simone. Who gives a fuck about Raven Simone anyway?
I do. We have the same birthday.
And nobody, and the black community is certainly not obligated to condemn Raven Simone Ben Carson.
He said, don't just insult him and make fun of him. You have to connect it to your race. You have to. That is what I take issue with, because I think it's really reductive to say it has to necessarily be connected to race. I think it might be a cultural problem. I don't see it as being a racial problem.
Isn't everything connected? Like, okay, so I hear your point. And I agree with what you're saying. Like, I don't know that, and to some extent, but I also hear his point, and I agree with what he's saying about, like, I do think this is...
But words are not actions. Just saying, I'm ashamed of Trump as a white person. Okay, I said it on this podcast, which has listeners. Now what? What does that do?
Well, then that's sort of like when Germans, like, express nationalistic, like, pride.
They don't
like,
that
white
much,
people...
though.
Well,
if you meet German people, well,
that
that's
was very
except
uncomfortable.
for soccer. Except I talked to German people, and they're like, "We don't express any national pride except soccer.
Please.
We love
their
soccer."
national anthem is still Deutschland über alles. Deutschland above
Maybe
everything.
They're just sentimental. I don't know why I'm defending the.
I'm defending the
to be dirty Germans, but
Whatever.
I like them. You met my hot German
very
friend.
Attractive.
She's so pretty.
No, they're
oh my
very
God.
attractive.
I friended her on Facebook.
You did?
And she has yet to friend me.
She's not a big Facebook checker.
I friend requested her.
Oh, she's so hot. I don't blame you.
I saw her pictures and I said, "Oh, okay, sure." But she has not accepted my friend.
Beautiful
I don't
German
blame
girl.
her. I'm just an old.
I mean,
pervert.
I'm not over the Holocaust, though. I mean, I still.
No, you don't have to be over the Holocaust to be able to be friends with young, modern, awesome German people.
All right, we still Kamauing?
Who still benefit from the Holocaust the way we benefit. I benefit. I'm not putting this on you.
Jews sure as shit haven't forgotten about that. Like,
no, of course,
a lot of Jews still don't buy
grade
Mercedes
1.
and BMW. I mean, some do, but my parents won't buy German pickles. Like, and I have some of that too, because how do you forget?
I didn't know the
so
Germans
fresh.
made pickles.
Apparently they do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little break, and then when we get back, we're going to talk to my black friend, my best friend, Sade, who's going to give us her black opinion on this. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and I have my best friend Sade on the phone, who you guys will probably remember from throwing a phone at Gavin McInnes's head in this exact studio, which is why she's a hero to literally hundreds of people. Okay, Sade. So you read the article.
I have my own podcast too. Let me plug my shit.
Plug your shit. Please plug your shit. Yeah, go right ahead.
I'm on the Friends Like Us podcast with Marina Franklin and a rotating cast of really excellent, well-known people, comedians and performers and activists and things. And this is a fun crossover episode, Karen.
Yeah, it is. This is like where Friends Like Us, Race Wars, and Crass to Mouth meet and intersect and have like a little weird racial baby. So, all right. So wait, Sade. So I emailed you the article. And we talked about it a little bit, but I want to know if you agree in general that white people got to get their boy when it comes to Trump.
I do.
Why though? Why is he mine?
Because I mean, I also agreed with your point. I mean, the link of responsibility and cohesion between you and Donald Trump is tenuous. It's like you personally don't have any responsibility or ownership of him. However, his white nationalist rhetoric counts you in where it counts all non-whites out, even on that tenuous link of just skin color. Do you understand?
So, yeah, I get that point, but then what is my responsibility to him? Like, what is me saying as a white person, this is embarrassing to me? What does that actually do, and why is it my job to say that? Like,
I just feel like all major demographics, whether it's along gender lines, religious lines, political, racial, all have it in their best interest as a whole to tame their monsters. Like, when people on the outside don't see enough of you distancing yourselves from your assholes, it gives them justification for treating all of you like you're one of them. And what this really means for white people is that the respectability politics that blacks have always been burdened with are finally catching up to you. And that's how I see it. It's like, to me, come get your boy, white people. It's the same as pull up your pants, black people. You know, we're not asking whites to do anything that we haven't asked Muslims to do with their radicals, or men to do with their, like, regressive misogynist, or blacks to do with their disaffected element. Do you understand? I just feel like we're not, I just don't feel like we're asking you to do anything that we don't ask all minorities to do. And it's worth noting that on occasion, white people have been really good about coming to get their boy, a la Anthony Cumia or Paula Deen or Don Emmons. Like, those people weren't fired by someone who looks like me. They were fired by another white person. Right. And that's good sportsmanship right there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're looking for. But we all have to do it. Like, no one is off the hook for having to do that for their own kind.
Okay, fair enough. But if I say Trump is an embarrassment to white people, and I'm saying that as a white person, unlike Paula Deen, who could be fired, what does that do? Like, I can't fire him from the campaign. I have no intention of voting for him. How do I... This seems to be a problem of the people who are actively supporting him now. How do I de-support him? Do you know what I mean? How do white people do that?
Like I said, what the message that it sends to outside groups, it's the same. It's all respectability politics are kind of on the same track. Just like me speaking proper English, or, you know, knowing how to put together a decent fucking resume does some shit for black people as a whole. White people, kind of parting like the Red Sea around their assholes and pushing them out to be dealt with does something for white people as a whole to outside demographics to other people. Just socially, just on just like a basic social level, it's good for all of you.
So it's not a thing that's going to, like, take the teeth out of Trump necessarily. It's a thing just to show minorities that we're on their side?
Because what people do politically is they kind of sometimes do this bandwagon thing where, you know, not enough people are thinkers. They might just throw in with what they think is popular and what they see being spoken out in favor of or against by the majority. So I feel like if enough people are doing this, then some people who are maybe in between could say, hey, you know what? There is this strong sentiment of anti-Trump, anti-xenophobia, and I think I might want to align myself with that now.
But is that not the minority? This is probably arguable, and I'm not, like, the best educated, but isn't that also the minority of white people who would even think to support something so radical? Isn't the fact that they're the minority, isn't that like the exception that proves the rule, or no?
I don't know, but isn't Trump still in the lead? It's for what, his poll numbers? That's not like, it's not a minority putting him there, is it?
You know what? I mean, that's a great point. That's what Tommy was saying before also, that he's doing really well, and that's like a middle America white phenomenon. Which it's not embarrassing. I'm not saying that it's not an embarrassment, but I feel like it's more embarrassing on other, like, cultural intersections. Do you know what I mean? Like, as an American, that's really embarrassing to see, like, because, you know, and I worked with foreigners, so to see their reaction to that is like it's an embarrassment. They kind of they're surprised that we, progressive melting pot America, are being so receptive to this right now. But as a white person, I guess I also don't feel that I like really contributed to a system of Trump, and I don't feel like my words are gonna do anything to make him less popular. Do you know what I mean? It feels like a toothless action.
Sure, no, I understand that completely. You are just one voice and you are just one person, and you alone can't, I don't know, trump, but I mean, if there are enough people who do it, then I don't know. Like I said, I feel like that bandwagon appeal might get an even bigger wave of dissent and people really coming out to like look at what was it the Prime Minister of Canada? What's his Trudeau?
Justin Trudeau, yeah.
So I mean, this man, this leader of this country of Canada, showed up to the airport to welcome Syrian refugees, right?
Yep.
The kind of image that puts out
with
and the
singing
kind of
children
is so favorable for not just for Canadians but for the Western world in general. That kind of thing really does have a ripple effect, especially through social media. You see a lot of people setting themselves up at these reception ports for refugees and really showing out and showing their kindness and showing their compassion. That changes people. It changes people's hearts. It changes people's minds and eventually their behavior. I was someone who was always on the fence about the Syrian refugee idea, and I can't lie and say that I haven't been moved in a positive direction by seeing the outpouring of support and compassion for these people. I absolutely have.
So, but here, can I ask a question? Can she hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So here's my sort of dilemma with this. I think it's important to call out Trump as a white. I'm white, by the way. So I think
it's a little low. I'm sorry. He sounds really far.
Oh, okay.
That's just his whiteness dimming his voice.
I can project. I did theater in high school. No, but I think that as a white person who wants to like be like a good, proper progressive, there's a hesitation about making anything about whiteness, because then it sort of becomes like you're glorifying your own privilege. So like I think the compulsion is just to call out Trump for his bullshit without linking it to his whiteness. Because it was sort of like we were talking about before.
White nationalism is about whiteness. I don't understand. It's impossible to not make it about whiteness.
Well, I don't understand. When did Donald Trump become a white nationalist?
When he started wanting to like deport everybody that came to this country.
Well,
but white nationalism is also anti-Jew. Jews are traditionally
white nationalism is white nationalism, as I understand
they all really come out for Trump. Trump is
the white nationalists do like Trump, but that doesn't mean that Trump is a white nationalist.
But he's appealing. That's a very large base of what's bulking up and shooting up his numbers in the polls.
Yeah.
The people who have those sentiments.
But also,
he is their guy.
Yeah, and like my grandmother said, like it's really simple logic, but I think it applies. Like, show me who your friends are, and I'll show you who you are. Like, who's supporting him? These people are screaming at black people, throwing them on the ground, saying, kill him. That's, and I don't know if those were white nationalists. I don't know if they were self-identified white nationalists or if they were just awful white people. But I'm just, my question.
It's the same thing to me.
But you know, even white nationalists say that there are some white nationalists who don't call themselves white nationalists. They just agree with all the white nationalist stuff. So you don't even necessarily have to call yourself that to be it, right?
Yeah, half of them are people I grew up with in my Facebook feed.
Yeah. You're such a crusader.
Dislike, unfollow.
But like, so Dan, before I called you, Dan made the point that it's not like, specifically about what Kamau Bell said, it's not like all black people rallied to decry what O.J. Simpson did, or what was the other example? Or
I said Michael Vick.
Michael Vick, or whatever. Like, there's some examples where black people are not one cohesive, unified voice against something that a black person did, even though we all generally agree was pretty fucking wrong.
Right. But what we do always get thrown in our face. Let's say on the issue of police brutality, it's always this very valid point that's brought up of, okay, black people, we understand you want to stop getting shot by the police. Well, how about you also stop fucking shooting each other? And how about you stop murdering each other in the streets? And that's 100% valid point. That's something that black people need to do in their own communities. Because it's like, white people, they might not live there, but they're looking from those binoculars from the other side of the track, and they're fucking scared of what they see. You know, so it's
right.
Like, that's 100% on us. 100% on us.
Well, I actually, I mean, I don't know if it's 100% because that's like pretty like rudimentary cycle of violence stuff where the power group oppresses another group and then the oppressed group responds in like one of three ways, one of which is to turn the violence in on the community.
But you can't tell me people have zero responsibility for their own actions, history of oppression or no history of oppression.
Right, that gang murder that just happened in Chicago when that gang targeted the son of a guy, this 9-year-old boy.
Yeah, right.
That was straight up gang shit. There's no structural anything there.
Yeah.
There's nothing. That community has to take responsibility for that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting because was any community called to take responsibility for Sandy Hook, for example, for that boy that did that?
But is that a white thing? I mean, there is an incidence of white people doing bad things, but is that a whiteness issue? Because that kid had problems.
There's enough.
It became
the samples are there. I think that there's enough to.
So that kid,
make a case.
that kid who had like mental challenges or emotional disturbances, you're telling me that genetic or family or community issue is a whiteness thing that he shot up that school?
He was in a very white community, and that happened.
But you could be. Correlation does not imply causation.
Sure.
It only became a whiteness thing because of the differences in how they talk about
mental
white
illness
mass killers versus either Muslim mass shooters or black mass shooters. It became an issue of, well, they always allow the white crazies to be these lone individuals with unfortunate backgrounds and mental issues, and it's never an indictment of the white community or the white race in general, but anyone else, it's like it's the race or the community is put on the stage for scrutiny when one of our own goes out to shoot someone.
I don't even think
that's how it became a white issue.
I don't even know if that's true. I remember, was it the Long Island Railroad shooter? What was it, Colin Ferguson?
That was in what, the 80s, the 90s?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was a Long Island Railroad shooting.
Oh.
And it was I believe it was Jamaican immigrant that shot a bunch of people on the train. I don't remember anyone, I mean, except for the most lunatic of racists, saying that this is a black problem, that black people are shooting up trains. Nor was there a call for the black community to condemn this man.
I think someone called Sean Paul on CNN and made him, rig it. Never mind that.
Went off the rails.
You lost me as Sean Paul CNN. I'm like, not the singer? What happened?
Yes, the singer.
Oh, the singer?
Yeah.
Now I understand. I don't, though.
That joke, never forget about it. Fucking forget it. But just any black dude with a gun shooting anywhere, it goes without saying that the first ideas, the first connections are going to be attributed to black people and the black community.
Well, it goes
think
down the list. It starts at blackness, then it goes to
specific as the kinds of mugshots or the kinds of pictures that a lot of times they use of these shooters. It's always they'll dig into like a black shooter's past or find any kind of menacing looking picture like Trayvon Martin and his hoodie.
Right.
Or if they've been arrested before, they'll definitely get that jail mugshot.
Yeah, right.
But a non-black or a non-minority shooter, they're going to get a picture of them sitting on fucking Santa Claus's lap when they were 5. They're going to get they're going to get pictures that kind of subtly convince you or pull out more empathy from you. Because they humanize them a little bit more. It doesn't automatically go to criminal with the image that gets presented of non-minority and especially non-black shooters.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Well, just the point, I'm curious to hear your perspective on this. Like the point that Kamau Bell made that resonated with me is that Donald Trump sort of represents the pinnacle of whiteness. This is everything that whiteness in America.
And that's the exact point that annoyed the shit out of me that I don't agree with.
Has been building toward, and that's exactly what I agree with.
This is why I want you on.
Well, by building toward, you're saying that the problem is getting worse. Was in fact, we've done nothing but make progress.
Have
and
we?
our current president is
That's
our
such
first
a dangerous-
African American president.
Right.
Yeah,
It's such a
he is.
dangerous
So
thing
this
to just
notion that
look
we've
at the
been
status
building
quo.
toward Donald Trump, it doesn't make any sense to me. That this is something we've been working toward.
To look at it and to the situation now and say things have
Nor do
always
I
been
see
this
Trump
way,
as a
if
white
not
as a white
better,
nationalist.
it's short-sighted.
He may be anti-Muslim, but I don't see
and
him as a white.
anti-Mexican and probably anti-black, but we don't have
I
any...
see no evidence.
I mean, you don't skip over Mexican and you don't get through Mexican and Muslim and gay and then just like not black.
Yeah,
You know,
no, but he loves black people. He has a friend.
I don't know that for
do
sure.
I.
He's anti-immigrant. Ann Coulter, who is also very much anti-immigrant, it's possible to be anti-immigrant and be a friend to black people. And Ann Coulter seems to, at least by all evidence, seems to be in that category.
Oh, I don't know. Well, she's not a friend of gay people, so I have nothing good to say about her.
Well,
and fair enough.
I'd like to meet her, but I have nothing good to say about her.
She's kind of cool in person.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
It's annoying.
I bet it is.
But that's true. No one's saying, come get your girl Ann Coulter to white people, right? Or are they? And I missed it.
They should be. And I don't know why the fuck they don't do that. She's got pretty blonde hair. I have no idea how she gets away with it. But they definitely need to come get their girl. With
she kind of looks a little dykey. Like, I always wonder about her. Like,
that's waspiness, though. Waspiness can look like dykiness sometimes.
Yeah, there's an overlap.
Yeah,
I don't see her. In fact, she typically dresses very feminine, and she dresses kind of like a young girl would dress.
Well, yeah, but
she sexes it up. In fact, more so than one would expect of a 50-year-old woman. But
she's 50. She looks
I think she's in fact more than 50.
It's because she hasn't had any kids. That's what having kids like ruins you.
She's been to the dentist a few times, probably.
But I certainly don't see her exhibiting any stereotypically lesbian.
Well, that's because you probably don't know any real lesbians, because that's what real lesbians look like. They look well put together and feminine.
I've seen some not.
And some look really butch.
Yeah.
But they're, lesbians like all people.
Well, then if that's the case, then why does she strike you as a lesbian?
She has like a kind of a dykey vibe. I don't know. I've been around a lot of lesbians. I don't know. There's something about it. I used to work at a rape crisis center. It was lesbians everywhere.
Oh, shit.
Well, she is a outspoken woman. I don't know if that's what you consider
There's
a
an
lesbian
empowerment.
quality.
Yeah, no, she is. She's very empowered, and maybe that's what it is.
Sade, Ann Coulter, dykey looking or not?
No, I think she's very feminine looking. I think she's always been very attuned to the power of a superficial feminine look. She's always had very long hair. She's blonde. She's thin. She's pretty, and I think that's a part of her power, and I think that's calculated on some of us. I think that's a part of why she can say what she says without, like, if she looked like fucking Rosie O'Donnell, she was saying that shit. They would just be like, shut up, fat bitch. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's like extremes of looks that come with extremes of having opinions. Like, you can either look like Kim Davis or Ann Coulter, but you can't just be regular and be a cunt.
Well, Ann Coulter is part of the reason she's so famous is because she looks the way she looks, absolutely. And
for sure.
To hear those views coming out of somebody, a thin blonde woman, is, it helps her Q rating a good deal, I would imagine.
Well, in France, the Marine Le Pen, that extremist lady's, her niece, I guess.
Yeah, Maréchal something or other. She's very pretty.
So pretty. She's
cute.
So pretty. And she's like well-spoken and everything, but people just have a massive crush on this girl.
Well, Brigitte Bardot was gorgeous, but she's a Nazi.
Also? Really?
But basically, I don't know.
What?
She has really gross views.
She's my hair crush.
I know, she had good hair. She looks not so good now. But
No. Yeah, she looks like a bloated dead mess.
But she has horrible views now. She probably had them when
old-ish.
she looked like that. I'm just saying, you can be gorgeous. Also, I just want to say it one more time because it might have gotten clouded. You can be feminine and dykey. They're not mutually exclusive. Just like me, I'm really butch
then what is it to be dykey? Fine, but what is it to be dykey then?
It's like there's a vibe.
Oh, well, the vibe, maybe you pick it up. I don't have sensitive gaydar on that level.
But come hang out at the Cubby Hole on a Saturday night.
Is that to get a lesbian bar?
It's mostly lesbian.
I'll Cubby Hole with you. I'll Cubby Hole.
Typically,
you're invited to the Cubby Hole.
I have very good relations with lesbian women.
It's
At least
more lesbian.
Bisexual women, anyway. Tend to like
every
me.
woman's bisexual, right? Is that true?
Everybody's a little bit bisexual.
That's true.
Everybody is. Women are just more, I guess, empowered to express it because no one gives that much of a shit if you also like girls.
Karen, I've had this discussion with you many times, and you will not lick a pussy.
I won't lick a pussy. You know what? But I stop at hip bones.
You might let a woman lick your pussy.
Me too.
Okay, but you can like close your eyes and it could be anybody. Like, you know what I mean? It's not really specific to necessarily the person who's in front of you. I don't like pussy. Girls are great. I've said this before, but pussy, specifically pussy, like just south of the border, is just so not my thing.
But how do you feel about butthole? Are you cool with that?
No, it's the same now. Holes, like women holes.
Okay.
I can't with that. And it's like waist up is fine, think of waist up activities and I'm down with them. But just pussy is like, that's really where you draw the line between like seriously into women and not so much, or like casually, or when you've had drinks. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know where you'll see a great feminine dykey vibe? That movie Carol. This just made me think of it.
Is
with
that
Kate
the new
Blanchett.
one with, yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And I even got a little turned on when the
Really?
sex scene happened 2 hours into the movie finally. Spoiler alert. It's a slow burn.
Have you seen it, Sade?
But Kate Blanchett, does a great job of exhibiting that sort of vibe. That she's kind of getting Ann Coulter-y vibe.
What about now? As long as we're on this topic, apparently we're off on another topic. But,
as we do.
So this is a dear friend of Karen's. Amy Schumer always struck me as somebody who had at a minimum,
she's got a dykey vibe.
Certainly does.
She's pretty open about having a dykey vibe. It's not that I'm such dear. I mean, I really love her, but I'm not that close with her.
She was open about that.
No, not. I don't think she's a dyke necessarily. I think that she owns open
her
about.
Vibe.
She owns her dykey vibe. That's it. Yeah.
Well,
because she's not like the most like
Amy Schumer being Ann Coulter. Like if Amy Schumer wanted to go off and be very political.
But sometimes Black Twitter's turned on Amy Schumer.
Has it? What did she say?
Big time. There was that.
What
there was a
joke about her?
There was a joke in one of her shows.
Well, I don't think her fan base is overwhelmingly black, I would imagine, but I would say without knowing for sure.
But what did she do that was...
A lot of black feminists, I can't remember what it was. There was a joke, it was like within the past 2 months.
Okay.
And all of a sudden everybody was like, she is a white woman. Like she became the WW because, you only have so many characters. Okay. And that's like the worst thing you can be on Twitter. I don't know. I'll try to remember what it was before the end of the show because this is dead air. But
have you heard about this, Sade? That Amy Schumer said something that black people got mad about? What happened?
I don't know if it was black people. I know that there was a joke about Mexicans that she got.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was years ago where she said that she's not into Mexican men. She prefers consensual sex.
Right, and that's an old joke that I know we've seen her perform on stage. She's been telling that joke forever.
It's a very old joke of hers, and I don't think anybody seriously believes that Amy Schumer believes that that Mexicans have unconsensual sex on as their normal.
She is also a comedian, which is like a kind of plausible deniability when you say crazy shit, isn't it? Where Ann Coulter's not a comedian. She is funny, though, but she's not a comic. So if she makes a joke, that's great, but that's not her job. So it's not a responsibility.
That's also a line that Donald Trump floats out, that all of the Mexican immigrants coming over are rapists. But his whole, and he keeps his support for him keeps growing.
Could it also be that people just like, the same way that they like comedians saying crazy shit, that they just like hearing someone say insane stuff on a mainstream political platform? Couldn't that just be an end to itself, and then people don't really believe he's going to get elected? Because that is very entertaining.
But right, it makes me think of that poem. Have you know that poem "First They Came for Me"? I think that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. Right. It's like, first they came for a socialist, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't one of them, and then they came for the trade unions, and they came for the Jews and then I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Jew, and then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That's so fucking powerful, and that's such the zeitgeist of our political climate right now.
But you're right about that, and people. The thing that is so powerful about that, also, I think, is that this country is a country of immigrants. So everybody's someone that was come for at some point or another. Do you know what I mean? In our ancestry, so that's why it feels like not necessarily a white people. It feels like an American issue.
Historically, we don't accept everybody. Up until 1965, we didn't accept anybody outside of European people. That poem that people often quote about the Statue of Liberty, to give me your tired, your poor, your huddled mat. At that time, it was all Europeans coming here.
Except the black people that we forced to come here.
Except the one, well, yes, of course, and Native Americans. But prior to 1965, you didn't, you didn't have a good, you had almost no Muslims in America, almost no East Indians, I don't think, or Asians. So to say that this is not American,
that with the railroads.
Yeah, there were, but there was the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1880 something or whatever that put an end to that. So this notion that this is not who we are, well, it is who we are historically.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
It may or may not be who we want to be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's not. It's who we are, and.
So that makes it an extra, that makes it a more imperative thing for American people, regardless of race, or, let's say, I'm going to say American people regardless of race, because American, in my opinion, comes first before race. So it's an American thing to say that this is historically American, this kind of xenophobia, but that we no longer stand for that, right?
Well, first of all, we do, we always have borders that I think everybody agrees, except for a few people, should not be completely open.
Sure. Well, what border should be completely open?
So then it comes down to who do you think is the best person to accept? Now, Israel has made a very clear decision to pretty much only accept Jews. That's it.
And that's completely fair.
Israel is under existential threats every moment of every day. So, which we are not.
But Israel won't even accept a Ryan Hamilton, for example, who has no animus toward Israel, no desire to destroy Israel, would not be allowed to, without a lot of red tape, and probably would never be allowed to immigrate there, to be a citizen, because whether or not they're under an existential threat, they've made the decision that they want Israel to be a Jewish nation.
I'm going there in 2 weeks, and I plan to find a husband who will keep me there.
They're so hot there. So Israeli Jews are so hot.
My grinder's going to overload.
Is it like that crazy, that certain people want America not to be completely changed? For example, would you want America to be a 80% Muslim country? Do you think that would be better for
Sure, if they didn't try to make it a Muslim state, because I am not living under that. I don't give a shit who's living here. I mean, that's crazy. I'm not living that way, but I don't care what
and that's a very fair sentiment. I wouldn't want laws to start changing in favor of Islamic theocracy. I wouldn't want
I'm not about Sharia law.
Which would be very possible if there were an 80% Muslim majority. It would just be at their whim to turn it into that. So no, I wouldn't be in favor of it for those reasons. But who's to say that 80% of those Muslims would even be religious Muslims and not secular, the way that, this is a majority Christian nation, but most people are Christian just nominally, not, they're not practicing in the way that a very fundamentalist Christian is.
It's an adaptive religion also. Like, it adapts to the community that's practicing it. So, like, in South Florida, I'm pretty sure there's a gay mosque. So...
Is there?
Yeah. That's what Fidelma O'Leary, she's a real person. The professor that I had in college said, I never looked it up, but I remember her saying there's a gay mosque in South Florida.
That I would go just to see a gay mosque.
Yeah. So, there you go.
Well, but there's a big difference, I think, between saying that we don't want this country to be predominantly 80% Muslim, and to say that we should still continue to accept refugees and people seeking asylum here, right? And be immigrant friendly.
For sure. I mean, we can't be stupid though. I mean, ISIS and radicalized Muslims are a real threat.
I got called a racist on Twitter because I dared to say that we should help these people, but just be aware that some of them harbor pro-ISIS sentiments, which is true. It's a statistically true thing that I cited.
I'm selling T-shirts at Union Square. There is a booth right on 14th Street across from the Whole Foods. And it's these, we keep calling it ISIS, which is probably offensive, but fuck them, because it's these Muslims that have all these really inflammatory signs up, like end lesbianism, end the homosexual curse.
There's an ISIS booth at Union Square.
There's an ISIS booth at the Union Square Holiday Market.
We're so tolerant.
In Whole Foods.
It's right across from Whole Foods. And people are stopping and screaming at them, but then people are stopping and commiserating, and I'm like, what is that? What is going on?
But that's the great American tradition of our free speech, pro-immigrant, everybody can say whatever they want thing. That's really unique. France doesn't have that. Other places don't have that. We have real freedom of being crazy.
And you have a freedom to be kind of unsettled when you see something like that.
Of course.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But do you have a duty to be unsettled when you see something like that? Because that's to bring it back to Kamau Bell, that's what he's saying. You have a responsibility. And I
absolutely. Any Muslim, any moderate Muslim walking by seeing that shit, it is their fucking responsibility to shut that shit down and wag their finger, whatever it is they do to shame each other. If it's anyone's responsibility, it's theirs. Because that shit is fucking wild. Yes, we have freedom of speech. No, we can't arrest those Muslims for doing that.
Yeah.
We can't beat them. But you know what? We can fucking criticize that shit, because if there's any risk, we're really playing with fire by just walking by oh, no threat there. Fucking horseshit. It's nonsense. But like I said, if anyone has a responsibility to criticize them, it's their own fucking kind.
And in fairness, when I had Hatem on here last week, he's radically moderate. You know what I mean? He's we shouldn't let any Syrians in, and we should denounce this at every turn, and which even is a little bit more hardline than I would take. And I'm apparently a racist. You know what I mean? But I do agree with you. But then also, white people are not people bound by a cohesive set of beliefs the way that Muslim people would be. So if you have
white isn't a religion.
But neither are black people by that logic, right?
But black people, it's true, were systematically oppressed as a people in a way that white people never were. There isn't a cohesion among white people that there is. And I agree, black people are not as cohesive as maybe white America says, but more so than all white people.
Maybe we're more cohesive.
Whites?
Yeah, than we like to think. I think we all take things for granted. Sure.
Sure, but regardless of race, people take things for granted. That's a given, right? I mean, I take that for granted.
Yeah, I think that white people just have like a code. Like sometimes you'll say something a little more racist around like your white friends than you would say. Like you'd like think about it if like a black person's on the phone in the studio or whatever.
Actually, I'm the opposite because if I'm around black people and I say something racist, they know for a fact I'm joking. Because otherwise I wouldn't dare say it.
You're also friends with
around
comedians
white people, you say something racist. It sounds like they think, oh, maybe this guy means it.
Right. Interesting.
You know. So.
I don't know. I mean,
that may or may not be a universe, you know.
You're
whatever.
a comedian. I think it's different. I do think with a lot of white people, like, I notice that people say things to me that I don't think that they would say to other people. I just leave it at that. Like a guy said that they should shoot Obama to me. Recently,
why do you bring this out in people?
A stranger at the Union Square booth just said we should shoot that guy.
Working in Union Square must be the most illuminating job. You interact with everybody. All right, so we actually have to jump off because we are, I mean, I guess we're at a studio that's in demand. But Sade,
I have to go.
Thank you for adding your black voice to this discussion. You totally saved us from just being white people talking about black people.
Thanks for having me on.
I love you, Sade. Do you want to plug more stuff? The Friends Like Us podcast? Anything else?
Just my Friends Like Us podcast. I'm on there every week, and you can get that on play.it. That's the site, and that's it.
Okay, Sade.
But I get way more turned up on Friends Like Us. I get turned up like I got on that Gavin McInnes episode. Like that's
alone worth listening to that. If you guys have not heard the Gavin McInnes Race Wars episode where she chucks a phone, please,
I
for
have
the
heard
love of God.
Gavin McInnes. I haven't heard that episode, but I know that Gavin McInnes
is so good.
Oh my
God,
classic episode.
Controversial figure.
It's rich.
Very much so. Yeah.
You should have Jared Taylor on Race. Well, you're not involved in Race Wars,
I'm a little bit involved in Race Wars, but I don't like book it.
Okay.
But all right. So Sade, I love you so much. Thank you for calling. Thanks for hanging out with us this whole time. Bye, hon.
Guys.
Bye.
Au revoir.
And okay, what about you guys? What are you plugging
When's this coming out?
tonight?
Oh, I'll be at Risk on the show Risk at the Pit on Thursday night.
Nice.
Yeah, in New York.
Cool. Risk at the Pit.
Yeah.
That's Tommy. What about you, Danny?
I'm on a radio show on Sirius called The Comedy Sellers Show, which airs at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, channel 99, Sirius XM. Cool.
And what about your Twitter?
Who cares?
Okay. All right.
I'm at Tommy O'Malley.
Nobody follow me on Twitter anyway. I'm probably going to cancel my Twitter because it's embarrassing.
Really?
Because there's nobody following.
That's
I'll
not the point.
I'm gonna follow you
and
right
I follow
now.
you too. And you guys know, as always, crassthermouth@gmail.com, at crassthermouth, at Karen Margolis. We're going to leave you guys alone, and we love you so much.